All right, guys, so this is part 2 of your math lesson. It's not going to take us very long. We are going to type in the definitions here from basically what we just talked about. An acute angle measures less than 90 degrees. A right angle will measure exactly 90 degrees. An obtuse angle measures more than 90 degrees. And a straight angle, which we didn't talk about, but that's just like a straight line, it will measure exactly 180 degrees. All right. Something that you need to be aware of as we go through this, if an angle measures 89 degrees, it is still going to be acute because that is still less than 90 degrees. If an angle measures 91 degrees, it's still going to be obtuse because it's more than 90 degrees. It's only a right angle if it measures exactly 90 degrees. All right, let's look at the next slide. It says classify each angle. So this one, is it going to be right, obtuse, or acute? And I'm just going to write R, A, or O. This is going to be obtuse because it's definitely larger than a right angle. This one's going to be acute because it's definitely smaller than a right angle, but not a whole bunch. This one, I see a square corner right here, so this is definitely right. Okay, this one looks like this one just flipped upside down, so that one is acute. It's going to measure less than 90 degrees. This one is larger than 90 because this would be 90 here, so that would be obtuse. And this one, same thing. It's larger than that square corner, and so that would be obtuse. All right, next page, acute angles. It wants us to drag all the acute angles into the orange square. Remember, acute measures less than 90 degrees. All right, it looks like this one is either right at 90 degrees or a little bit smaller. I'm trying to eyeball that one. I'm going to say that that one's 90 degrees. We're going to leave that one alone. All right, this one, these are not making square corners, so that one's definitely acute. Okay, this one looks larger than 90 degrees, so that one's not going to be acute. This one's way smaller than 90, so definitely. And this one too. If we were to draw a square corner, we would go straight up on this one right here. So that's definitely acute. All right, right angles. All right, this one, easy peasy, definitely a right angle. I'm going to drag this one over and flip it sideways so we can see what it looks like. See if we can see if this is creating a square corner or not. And being able to manipulate these shapes helps a lot. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say that that's definitely a right angle. That looks like a pretty square corner to me. All right, let's do the same thing with this one because this is that tricky angle again. Let's go back a little bit. That looks like it definitely looks, actually it looks larger than 90 degrees, but just a little bit. So I'm going to take that one back off. Okay, let's look at this one. We're going to manipulate it again so that that one line is flat. Go back up a little bit. All right, and that is going to be smaller than 90 degrees. So I'm going to take that one back off. And this one definitely is smaller. So we only had 2 on that one. Let's look at the obtuse. Remember, obtuse is going to be greater than 90 degrees. So this one is definitely too small. This one for sure fits in there, and this one fits in there. And we know this one is a right angle from the last page. All right, we're almost done. Now it says, looking at the measurements, decide if these are acute, right, or obtuse. So this one says 85 degrees. That would be acute because that is less than 90. This one is greater than 90 degrees, so that would be obtuse. This one is less than, that would be acute. This one is exactly, so that is right. 173 is much larger, so that would be obtuse. 38 is much smaller, so that would be acute. 82 is close to a right angle, but it's not quite there, so that's still going to be acute. And here we go. They're trying to trick us. There's that 91 degrees. It's still bigger than 90, so it's got to be an obtuse angle. Even though it's only 1 degree bigger, it's still obtuse. 146 is definitely obtuse, and 158 is definitely obtuse. All right. We're going to read these word problems and we're going to decide if they're acute, right, or obtuse. It says Sammer drew an angle that was less than 65 degrees. That's smaller than 90, so that would be acute. Kayla drew an angle that was more than 90 degrees. That would be obtuse. Frida drew an angle that was exactly. That's your right. Easton drew an angle that was less than 70 but more than 30. If it's still less than 90, it's still got to be acute. And Kyle drew an angle that was more than 110 degrees. And so that's bigger than 90, so that would be obtuse. All right, look at the shapes and determine what types of angles they have. So here we have a triangle, and all of these look very small. So I'm going to say that there are all acute angles here. So I'm going to put X's right there. All right, and this one, these are acute, and these are obtuse. So it has acute and obtuse. Okay, and what are these? We know the squares have 4 right angles. Okay, looking at the next page, same thing. We're going to identify them. And these are tricky. It looks like a square turned sideways, but it's actually not. This is actually a rhombus, and it has 2 acute angles and 2 obtuse angles, just like our parallelogram. All right, our trapezoid, these are obtuse, and these are acute. So again, 2 acute and 2 obtuse. This is a right triangle, so I see a right angle for sure. And then I see 2 little cute angles. Those are going to be acute. I'll put an X there. All right, the next couple of slides are showing our protractor. So it says angles are measured using a protractor. Look at the protractor to classify each angle. This is measuring exactly 90 degrees. Do you see that 90 right there? So this would be right. Okay, let's look at this one. This one is measuring here. And so it's either going to be the small number down here or the big number right here. But look at this angle right here. Is that a small angle or a big angle? That's a big angle. So it's going to be that big number right there. So this is going to be obtuse. Okay, same thing here. Look at how little and cute this angle is. Look at how little and cute. That's got to be an acute angle. Oh my goodness, this is almost a completely straight line. So that has to be obtuse. And then our last slide. Oh, there's another cute little angle. Definitely acute. And then look at this one. It's just barely bigger than 90 degrees, but it's still bigger. So this would be obtuse. All right, guys, if you have any questions for me, make sure you email me. I know this is a lot to throw at you, but it should be mostly a review from 3rd grade, okay? If you have any questions, contact me.